We'd like to welcome each and every individual to podcasts, Voices of Integrity with Legacy Partners and Virtual Assistants and EVAs, Executive Virtual Assistants. And so this is going to be an interesting podcast. So it's probably going to be a pretty hard podcast. You know, you guys are all going to feel really bad for Kent. You should be feeling bad for me, but you'll probably feel bad for Kent. So Kent is, what are you, in your early 20s, mid 20s, Kent?
20. I'm 24 now.
34. Wow. Okay. Good for you.
24. No, 24.
Oh, 24. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So mid 20s, lives over in the Philippines. And so, Kent struggles a lot. Oh my gracious. The poor guy struggles a lot. Do your parents get frustrated with you, Kent?
No.
They should be. See, if they got frustrated, with you, then I wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, so in the, podcast library, there's a bunch of interesting ones. You could start going through podcasts, with young men, that'd be a great one. And so there's another one, podcast for business owners, and then underneath that, there's podcasts for employees. So the challenge is you think like an employee, Kent. And so, not to be harsh, obviously, I'd never want to do that, but you're self-centered, self-absorbed, immature, narcissistic, you're undisciplined, you can't stay focused, and you don't even realize it. You probably think you're a good employee, and you probably think you're a hard worker, and you think you're probably smart. I'm guessing, do you think you're a pretty hard worker, Kent?
No, I wasn't thinking about that.
No. Do you think you're a hard worker or not?
No.
You're not.
I need.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the good news is Kent actually isn't clueless. He knows he's not a hard worker. He knows he's lazy, but he doesn't have the ability to change it. And he can't even show up on time, and he's not consistent. Like, what is wrong with that? Now, Kent's got a good reason. The challenge is he's a young male. If he was a young female, he might get away with more reasons. But as a young male, not a chance in the world. Everybody's just going to mock him and make fun of him, and he's not going to get respected. Then he's going to get depressed because it's like he can't even show up consistently, and then he's got a reason and excuse for everything. So I don't think Kent understands hard work. I don't think he does. I don't think he understands devotion, dedication. Like, I don't think he understands dedication. I don't think he understands discipline or consistency. Like, he doesn't understand anything that's here. It's like the poor guy. Like, I just feel bad for the guy. Like, it's like, man, oh man. I mean, I think you want to get married someday, right, Ken?
No, I don't have any plan to get married.
Ever?
But it's, I don't have any plan. But if it is God's will, well,
it's probably God's will for you not to get married. Shoot. I wouldn't want one of my 4 daughters marrying you. I would not recommend that I'm serious. You think I'm joking?
Yes.
I would not recommend for a woman to get married to you.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be like marrying a child. It'd be like it's like you're a little boy. So she wouldn't be marrying a man, she'd be marrying a boy. So if you all wonder, like, why is Kent putting up with this abuse? Like, Mark's abusing him. No, Mark's just, sharing his observation of Kent. So Kent, how come you haven't hung up? How How come, like, you're not leaving?
Not living in what?
How come you're not dropping out? How come you're continuing to stay on when when I'm so abusive to you and telling you the truth about yourself?
Because I learned from you.
Not very much and not very fast. I have to be honest.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I like people who's being honest on me.
Do you really?
Yeah. I like people who is honest
Yeah, I
on
don't
me.
know if you do. So, so hmm, like how long do you think you should be before like you've gone through the VA training, you know how to use ClickFunnels, and so you've got some level of experience and some level of something. And so, how long do you think you should be, consistent? Like you're not an employee. I'm not like I'm contracting with your VA company. Like how many days of consistency should you have before I go ahead and, start paying you? I mean, should you be consistent for a year? Should I require that? Should I require 6 months, a month? Like how many days of consistency do you think you need to prove before you can actually go before I'll actually start paying you to do work?
Well, I guess it's up to you. Because you're
What's
my
that?
boss.
I'm not your
I
boss,
think
I'm a client.
yeah, you're my client.
Right. So how many days? Consistency. Like how many days do you have to show up at 7 o'clock, in the morning, Eastern time? Like how many days that 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, how many days, do you have to be consistent before I go ahead and start paying you?
Um well, I guess 3 to 6 months, because on
And can you work
Wednesday.
full time for that period of time without getting paid? Do you have a job now?
Yes, I've got a job.
Okay. What kind of job is it?
Marketing associate in the cooperative.
And you're still wanting to become a VA?
Yeah, I want like some other job because
Why?
I guess my payment is not enough.
How much is your payment?
Um, 11,000 peso.
So how much money is that? How much in US dollars a month?
Okay, wait. Peso. Hold on.
So with clients, you want
$191.
$91?
191.
191. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you were a VA doing it full time and you work 40 hours a week on that job,
40 hours.
how many?
As a VA?
No, on that 100, your current job, how many hours
Yeah,
a week are you working?
I'm required to work 40 plus 8, 48.
48 hours a week?
For 44 rather.
44 hours a week.
Yeah.
Okay. And you think you ought to work, do you think you ought to be consistent 3 months or 6 months?
I think I can go with 6 months.
Okay.
I go with 3 months.
How many before you start making any money as a VA, how many months or weeks do you think you ought to be consistent before you go ahead and start getting paid as a VA?
6 weeks, I guess.
6 weeks, okay? And if you miss one day, if you're late one time, then you start over again.
Okay.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
But in Wednesday and Saturday, I am not available on that day. Is that okay?
what's that?
Wednesday and Saturday.
Why are you not able to do it on Wednesday and Saturday at 7?
Because on Saturday, on Wednesday, every Wednesday we have a night prayer in our church, and every Saturday we have practices in our church.
Interesting. Okay, good to know. And if you miss, if you miss any time, then you start over with a new, like if it's 5 weeks and 5 days and you miss the 6th or 7th day, you miss that, then you start over with another 6 weeks.
Okay.
Yes or no?
Yes.
You think you can do that?
Yeah, with your help.
Well, I mean, how am I going to help you?
Maybe by reminding me.
I'm not your mom.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not going to babysit you. I mean, aren't you old enough? Like you're 24 years old. Aren't you old enough to go ahead and do what you say you're going to do?
Yeah, I guess gonna remind myself.
Yeah, so no, I'm not going to babysit you.
Yeah.
So, do you know what one of the things I'm most reluctant about, giving you, I don't know, a third or fourth chance?
What?
It's that you say you're a Christian.
Yes.
Why am I, yeah, I might rather not, contract with you. I mean, I'm a Christian. So you'd think Christian would want to work with other Christians, right?
Yes.
Why am I a Christian and I often don't want to work with Christians?
Well, I guess you have an experience with education or bad
A lot
experience
of
with
experiences, one of them with you. See,
it.
Christians somehow think they're self-righteous. They think that because they're Christians, they're better than everybody else. You'd never say that, but that's kind of the impression I get. And then you think the God you serve, well, he's just going to forgive everything. And so everybody else should forgive your sloppy, lazy, undisciplined, and pathetic ass. Sorry.
Well, I
Like,
guess everyone is not like that.
yeah, I mean, when you look at the Bible, God's not like that. Like somebody touched an
Yes.
ark to try to help the ark not go ahead and fall off. He did good and God killed him. Like there's so much in the Bible, but see, Christians tend to have idolatry and they think that God is like them. And so you're an amiable and, whatever. You're you can be if you want. So you think you have integrity, but you don't. So you think a lot of things about yourself. And if somebody challenges you, there's a high probability, you know.
Huh?
And so there's a number of concerns. I cannot help you make money unless you're consistent
Yes.
and committed.
That's right.
And so, do you believe you can worship God anywhere?
Yeah.
Are you late to church?
No.
Do you skip church?
No.
Do you think that, the work that you do is a worship of God?
Well, whatever we do, we must be glorified.
So why do you miss work and you don't miss church?
Well, I guess I was made mistake
Why
and
don't
I
you
did
make
that.
mistakes with church? Why don't you make, I mean, if you're going to church, if you're going to church, wouldn't that be a great place to make mistakes? Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Well, why don't you go ahead and why are you more committed to the church than you are your occupation and putting food on the table and making money?
because I believe that if we seek God first, He provide everything
Well,
according to His way.
if you're a farmer and you go to church and you don't plant your field, you don't harvest, do you think God's going to just bring in the food magically?
No, we
See,
should
I
do
look
some
at your
action.
commitment to your business as much as your commitment to your church. I don't think you ought to be any more committed to the church than you are to your business, because I see both of them as honoring and worshiping God.
Yes, it
But
must.
yet you have a pattern to go ahead and be more committed and consistent to your church than you do your occupation, what you do for a living. This doesn't make any sense to me.
Yes.
But nobody in the church is going to tell you this, are they?
Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, you believe that you're fearfully and wonderfully made in your womb, where God, in your mother's womb, where God knit you together. You believe that you're creating God's image and you're an amazing person. Yes or no?
Yes, because that's what God said.
Right? But you don't act like it. See, we
Yeah.
have free will. So you don't act
Yes.
like an amazing person. So you're going to get depressed. Why? Because you're sloppy, lazy, undisciplined, and pathetic. We call this a slup. Sloppy, lazy, undisciplined, and pathetic. And there's always a reason, isn't there, Kent?
Yes.
Always a reason. Yep, always a reason why you're a slup. Always a reason. And you try to explain that reason.
I think
Does
I
that work?
don't need
Does
to
that
explain
work
that.
with me, Kent?
No.
No, it doesn't. Does it work with
Yes.
what's that? So, are you willing to make a 12-month commitment? I mean, it's a vow. It's not a goal. It's a vow. Nothing comes before it. Like, the only thing you can do to get out of the vow is if you die. Like, that's the only way. You have to follow through with a vow. Are you
Yes,
willing to
I
make
guess.
a 12-month vow to do that?
What? Vow to work?
Yeah, if Life Masteries gives you another opportunity to become a VA, you can't quit in a month or 2 months or
Yes.
11 months. Are you willing to make a 12-month vow?
Yes. I am willing.
And you understand that the only way to be released from that vow, like, you get a better job offer, you can't take it. Like, you can't, it's a vow. It's like a marriage vow. It's a vow. You can't just, God told me, God's not going to tell you to go ahead and get out of a vow.
Yeah.
And so, and so the problem with you being a Christian is that you're going to think, well, I'll just get out of this vow and God's going to give me grace. You're going to come up with a reason on how you can do it. How do I know this? Because I've worked with a lot of Christians and this is how they think. Not all of them, but too many of them. Make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Questions?
None?
Okay, so Wednesday and Saturday you aren't able to do 7 o'clock
Yes.
Eastern time. Okay. So Monday though, you'll be on at 7.
Yes.
What if you had to make a choice between, having your company stay alive, um, and working, Wednesdays and Saturdays? Um, would you give up that to keep your business alive or not?
Well, I believe on the other testimony that they prioritize God first, and after
Right. See,
that,
this is what's weird because I look at your commitment to your business, your occupation, what God's given you to do to contribute to the world. I look at that as just as high a priority. And my dad was a pastor, so I get this, just as high a priority as church. So if your business needs you to go ahead and work on Wednesday and Saturday, I would think that that's going to be that you would do that. You still have Sunday. You can still take a day of rest. So you can, I'm not saying working 7 days a week. I'm saying that if you had to give up those things to get your business to succeed, would you?
um, for me, I
I mean, it's a yes or no.
no.
Yeah. So for me, I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's just like, it doesn't seem he's very committed. So if he's going to be less committed to his own business, I mean, he's not going to be any more committed to my business than he is his own business. And it doesn't seem like he's very committed to his own business. Make sense?
Yes.
Do you understand what self-discipline is?
Yes.
I don't think you do. What do you think self-discipline is?
I think self-discipline is about that. Um, you have to correct yourself. What needs to be fixed,
That's
and
self-correction. That's not self-discipline. Self-correction. Self-correction is when you correct yourself. What's self-discipline?
you have to turn your mistakes into a right.
No, that's turning your mistakes into a right. That's not self-discipline. What's self-discipline?
Um, self-discipline. Well, that's my point of view.
Yeah. So, but that's not what it is.
Okay.
I mean, self-correction is self-correction. Like you correct yourself.
Yes.
That's self-correction. It's not self-discipline. Self-discipline is
I have
disciplining
to discipline
yourself.
myself.
It's disciplining yourself.
Yes.
That's what it is. And so you skipping Wednesday or Saturday, that's going to be discipline to you. That's going to be very, very hard for you to do. Correct?
Yes.
So if you don't do what you should be doing Monday and Tuesday, maybe you should go ahead and work Wednesday. If you don't do something, if you don't do for your business what you need to do, or you're not on time or something, you should, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, then you self-discipline. Disciplining yourself, that changes behavior. The whole purpose of self-discipline is to change behavior.
Yeah.
Before, the marketplace does it, before the police officers, before your parents, before somebody else does it. Make sense?
Yes.
Questions?
None.
All right. Well, so I would go ahead and yeah. So Monday again, 7 o'clock Eastern time. And so 6 weeks of that. And then I'll give you some other assignments. And so when would be a goal to get where you'd go full-time as a VA, when would be a goal to do that?
My goal as possible is 1 month.
Okay, so 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. And so obviously you can't be consistent for 6 weeks and 4 weeks. But I'll give you some assignments to do where
Okay.
well, you do those assignments well, and I think we can hit that 4 week goal. Who knows? Maybe even
Yes.
better, but don't make excuses to me.
Yes.
Don't give me reasons. If I ask you
Yeah.
reasons, an explanation, you can give me reasons or explanation. But if I don't ask for them,
Yes.
why are you late? Why didn't you follow through? You're just simple. Just say, I'm a slop. I'm sloppy, lazy, undisciplined, and pathetic. And that will make me feel good. So it's
Okay. I get it.
SLUP, sloppy, lazy, undisciplined, and pathetic. So because I'll be like, oh, at least he realizes he's like if you realize how pathetic you are, you can change. You weren't created to be pathetic. You were created to be amazing.
Yeah.
But that's a choice that you have to make.
Yes.
Can't have to make it. Nobody, I can't make that. You have to make that. And if you think,
Yes.
well, God doesn't really care, he's okay if I'm sloppy, lazy, undisciplined, and pathetic, he'll forgive me. It's not a big deal. You will continue to be sloppy, lazy, undisciplined, and pathetic. And because you know you're not living up to who you're created to be, you're going to be depressed. If you're productive, if you have integrity and you're a productive young man and you're making and you're using your talents and skills well, then you will feel good about yourself. If you don't, you won't. And so a lot of Christianity, from my perspective, makes people sloppy, lazy, undisciplined, and pathetic. It just does. Make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Any other questions?
What?
Do you have any other questions?
Nothing, I guess.
All right. Sounds good, buddy. Have a good weekend. I'll work on getting something and seeing if I can get at least Life Masteries to um give you another chance.
Okay.
All right,
Thank
buddy.
you for that.
You're welcome. We'll see you. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye.